And welcome to the Men's Journal Everyday Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sorelli. I'm excited for this one, but I'm excited for all my podcasts, man, because that's just the curiosity of hearing people's stories. So I've got Dave Bautista and John, owners and partners in DC Society, Inc.
Yes, sir.
And you guys are launching this July 24th, correct?
Yes, we are, yes. Yeah, we'll have the grand. We've been open for a while. We've had the doors open since January, but we'll finally have a grand opening. We just want to kind of celebrate us being open, and let the public come in and check out the place and meet us and say hello to the community. We both have roots here, so we just wanted to open the doors for everyone to come in.
So you guys have been open since January,
yeah,
and that is to, hey, let's test things out, let's work out the kinks. Pretty much,
it just takes a while. We're starting this from ground up, and we need to build up a clientele and a following. So we just started, open the doors, started bringing people in, and it's kind of word of mouth thing. We don't really do any advertising other than social media. We don't, as you see, we're not in a mall or anything, so there's not a lot of walk-through traffic. So we just wanted to get the open the doors, get the word out, and actually have the grand opening when I was here and I could participate, because otherwise I'm just a name attached to it. But when I'm home, I'm actually here pretty much daily.
Yes.
Come and just hang out.
I would have never suspected, because John, you're renowned as a tattoo artist and an artist.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Dave, pretty much the world knows who you are. You guys said you wanted to build a following. I think you already got a following.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I got to tell you what I love about sort of your motto is let us help you tell your story.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone should be the hero of their own story.
For sure.
But so many people right now are struggling. They don't recognize that.
Right.
Why is that so important to you guys?
I think it probably starts with a personal thing, but then, it turns into like a community thing, a society thing. I think it's nice to have a place where people can come and we all have something in common. Our lives may be in completely different places. We may have completely different opinions. We may be just all together, just across the board, different people. But when you come in here and you're getting inked up, we all have one thing in common that we can share and talk about. And typically the thing, the ink on our bodies is our stories. They mean something to us. They're personal. They have their symbols, their symbolism. And there's, a lot of stuff that connects us to our past and where we come from and where we're going and our dreams and our families and people who we love and are important to us. And all that across the board is something for us to start talking about, like a dialogue with each other. So it's a society. When you come here, it's like we all have that bond.
Do you think, and John, do you think to some degree, people make assessments about who we are based off of gossip or assumptions or just preconceived notions? Is the canvas of our skin like the way to say, hey, no, that's not who I am?
Yeah, sometimes a lot of people judge. Yes. Okay. But, that's what we are. That's who we are. Yeah. So,
And I think people are much more accepting of it. I think it's much more accepted now. Yeah. And I think I've even noticed it throughout my career, like in films, that people are just more accepting. It's just more commonplace.
For ink?
Yeah, for ink, definitely. It's not doesn't have that bad connotation that it had at one time.
Isn't that crazy, man?
Yeah.
Because I came from a Roman Catholic family.
Yeah.
And I'm coming back to work with John to do a sleeve as well as the right side of my rib cage as a memorial to the guys. But even within my family, I came home with one tattoo, and it was like the second coming of Christ, not in a good way. Like I wasn't disowned, but it was just like, what was it that changed that?
I don't know, man. But that's like even a good point, because a lot of people come in and want like religious themed tattoos, and just because they're proud of their religion or what their beliefs, and it's a part of their story. So I don't know what changed everything, but it just does seem like you're seeing tattoos more and more. People are more accepting of them. People, and like across the board, all walks of life are getting tattoos. It's not like just your biker gang.
Yeah.
It's more like a fashion now.
Yeah. So I guess it's just people are just more open-minded about it.
Well, I can tell you from the culture I came from within the SEAL teams and the Army Special Forces community and the military as a whole, it's a cultural thing.
Sure.
And the guys, their sleeves were, because I was an officer, I was always so jealous because it was like artwork on their arm. Who, it was part of their DNA. It showed the culture that they belonged to, what they believed. And I used to look forward to Mondays coming into work because I'd be like, who got a new tattoo?
Right.
They'd be like, Zombie Elvis, sir. And I'm like, you can't have tattoos on your wrist. They're like, right on. Right on. Right. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. But, guys, you have your own stories, and I want to dive into that because even Dave, given your notoriety, people still don't know your background, do they? Just know you for Deacon Bautista or Bautista and then on. But you have experiences that shaped you and pushed you down that path.
Oh, for sure.
And you are still redefining yourself. I mean, you've now had multiple professions, man.
Right.
Did as we're talking, and this just hit me, there was this officer in the SEAL teams who he was a peer, and we were at Dev Group together, and we went through the assessment and selection to get into that place together. But this is the most, John Hopkins University, most clean-cut looking guy, and I barely knew him, and he takes his shirt off, and his whole back is the Terminator.
Oh, really?
Where the skin is peeling off, you see the mechanical, the wheels, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, I would have never have guessed that. But it actually was the coolest thing. Like, it was thought out, but it covered his entire lower neck to his back waist. Right. It was pretty interesting. But so, Dave, as I did the research, man, I read a ton of articles and watched some interviews, man. Mm-hmm. And again, to the point I said earlier, a lot of people don't know your background, dude.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird to me because I don't understand why people, especially when coming out of wrestling before I got into films, people just had this preconceived notion of who I was. Like I was just this arrogant prick who was from money, and I just never got that at all. But I think a lot of people are surprised to find out, how I grew up and that I was raised by a single lesbian mom, and I grew up dirt poor, man, and I didn't have a dime to my name till well into my 30s, and and that's because I went into pro wrestling. But I went in. Decided I wanted to pursue professional wrestling when I was almost 30. Mm-hmm. And then it took me still years to I was world champion and still borrowing money. I was world champion and I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah, we were still broke. It's because I borrowed money to get there, and, credit was horrible. I was world champion for years, and my credit was still horrible because, and that was typically because I was making a good living. But I was so old school, and I'd come home to a stack of bills, and they were always late, so I could never get caught up on my bills. I refused.
Well, you were gone all the time.
I was gone all the time. Like once they strapped that belt around my waist, I was never home. Never home. And my marriage family life just fell apart.
Did you ever question? Because, one, you're world champ now, but yet you're still having money issues. Were you thinking like, hey, just stay the course, or like, hey, what am I doing?
Well, at that point I was really pursuing it out of love. Yeah. I became obsessed with professional wrestling, which is why I think I was able to climb the ladder so fast. It's not because, I wasn't chasing money. I wasn't chasing a paycheck. I wanted to make a good living like everybody else does, but I really became obsessed with professional wrestling. And I was fortunate enough to be mentored by two of the best ever were, Ric Flair and Triple H. And when I was given that opportunity,
are you still close?
Very, yeah. I love those guys. I love those. Even if we don't talk every day, I saw Triple H. I haven't seen him since I think 2019.
But if you saw him tomorrow, it would be like you guys.
Old hat. We rode down the roads together for years, and he mentored me, and he really turned me into a star. And
I want to dive into it. What was unique about those two guys? Because I know you said it was very cutthroat in that environment. Some people were not willing to give you time because they saw you as competition. And
absolutely, but those two guys were just encyclopedias. They were open books to me, and they wouldn't give that opportunity to everybody. But they thought that I deserved it. Until I proved them that I didn't deserve it, they were going to be open books to me. But I think they watched me come up a little bit in the WWE, and I think they saw how bad I wanted it, and I really wanted to be there. And I think for the right reasons, which is why they decided to take me under their wings.
Let me ask you this, because I've had a lot of time to reflect on what I did at War and the mentors and coaches I've had. Have you ever had the opportunity to go back and just say, hey, I'm just calling to say, hey, thanks? I want to say thank you.
I say thank you on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if I don't talk to them, I thank them and make people. Yeah. People are aware. They know that I've often said that I just wouldn't have gotten to where I was at if it wasn't for them. Like, I owe them my career, especially Triple H. Triple H literally made me a star in that company. And he made me a star, and he mentored me and babied me and carried me until I was able to stand on my legs and make other people stars. Like, he really babied me through that process. You know, talk about doubt.
Yeah.
Talk about doubt. No, I mean, when I was there, I was world champion, still thinking, I'm going to lose my job next week. I'm expendable. I always had that mindset, like, I'm expendable, so I'm not going to give them a reason to fire me. And throughout my career, I had that mentality.
That's actually, in my opinion, a great mentality to have. I mean, you've heard the phrase, like, don't get comfortable, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because the second you think you're secure, that's when you start to degrade.
Yep.
Right.
Everyone is replaceable.
Sure.
I had no notion in the SEAL teams that I knew I was replaceable up to the point where I no longer had the passion or belief in what I was doing. But gratitude is a powerful thing.
For sure.
And when I talk to companies, because that's basically what I do outside of this, is I go and talk about leadership and culture, because it's one thing I'm passionate about.
Right.
Because I sucked at it so freaking bad. Right. And I speak on leadership and culture from the fact that I watched other people, these amazing performers. But when I start my speeches, and it's along the lines of what you're saying, I say, I need you to know, as I'm speaking here, if I've seen further, it's because I stand on the shoulders of giants, men and women that were better than themselves.
Right.
Like, nobody gets to where they're at on their own.
Right.
It's
true.
Other people bolster us up.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you one thing moving back, because from what I read, you didn't have a male figure in your life. I know there's a lot of the whole concept of the nuclear family is that's just not a thing anymore for the most part. Where did you find that male influence in your younger years? Was it the gym? Was it Mentors there? Yeah,
I mean, I still don't think that I ever really had it. Yeah. I mean, my mom was, she was both, my mother, the nurturer, but also the disciplinarian. Yeah. And I kind of, and she was a tough woman. I mean, my mom would beat my ass.
Sounds like a good woman. Yeah, we all need that from time to time.
But I just never had that male father figure. I never had it. I still didn't have it. I get asked every once in a while if it's hard for me not, never really having a relationship with my father, and I say no, it's not, because I don't know what it's like. I don't know what to miss. It was just, there's nothing there. There's a void there. It's a mystery. I don't know what that was like. If you had like a strong bond with your father and then lost it, it might be different.
Yeah.
But I just never had it. It was never that figure there for me. So I don't know what it's like to miss. All I know is my mom, and I know her nature, and I know what I took away from my mother's, work ethic and nature and being a good, decent person.
And is that bled over into being a father?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely made my mistakes as a father. I thought that I was, I mean, there's no handbook. Yeah. I had a lot of issues with my daughters, and I thought that I always did right by them. And we're estranged now, and I don't speak with them. And they've got a lot of issues. But there came a point in my life where I had to stop taking blame for it. Like, when they were adults and still making mistakes and still going down the wrong path, and I've given them opportunity after opportunity. These kids had every advantage in the world, and I didn't spoil them. It's not like I wasn't the kind of guy who just bought them stuff, and I loved them like unconditionally, but they just went down bad paths. And now I'm at the point where unless they really want to straighten themselves out, I can't help them, because they're adults now.
Yeah.
So I think that I did right by them when they were young. I had custody of my daughters, which, a professional wrestler who's never home, getting sole custody of his two daughters is not easy, but I fought for them because I loved them so much, and I just couldn't straighten them out and get them down that right path. And it kills me. It's still hard to talk about, but, I
can sense it.
Yeah, it's just like I got to the point where it's like, what else can I do? So so my oldest daughter has drug issues, and at this, like, we don't really communicate because It's just I have to, really read between the lines with her, and nothing's ever the truth. And so if she calls and says, I'm at rock bottom, I need to go rehab, I will pay for it, no problem. If she wants, either of my daughters want to do anything to educate themselves, I will, done. But until they try to make an effort to become better human beings with a purpose in life, I can't help them. My son is 14, turning 15.
Yes.
Completely different story.
Yeah.
The most respectful kid. He just grinds every day, and it's yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, and just like the best, good-hearted kid in the world. And I just, so him, I'm really investing right now. His mom moved him back to Tampa so we could be closer to each other. So he's here, he's local, and that's kind of like where I'm putting my efforts as a father right now.
Yeah, for someone who leads the everyday warrior, I don't talk about my kids much on the podcast, and for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of estrangement there.
Sure.
My daughter's 18, my son's 14, but God, I hope I've made the effort. I hope they reach out, and I hope when they turn 18, they realize there were some things at play.
Yeah.
That prevented that, but I'll take ownership over that. Now, I've always heard the phrase, sometimes you gotta, time.
Yeah.
And you got to let some people, I don't want to say hit rock bottom, but they've got to figure it out on their own before they realize, hey, I need my old man or my old mom's help, man. Yeah.
And I've done that. My oldest daughter, like I said, with the drug issues, and it's a disease I can't relate to. I don't understand, but I understand that it's real. So, like you said, if they call and say I've hit rock bottom, I need this or they need that. As long as it's not money, I will. But I will pay for rehab. If you need a place to live, I'm not going to let you go homeless.
Yeah.
But I've been there like multiple times, and when do you, that's what led me to just not really dealing with it. You call me if you need to go to rehab again, done. Anything to educate yourself, done. But it was a lot of things that led me to that place where I just can't interact with you and pretend like everything's okay, because everything's not okay, and you need to make at least some effort to make everything okay.
Well, dude, I know it's not easy to talk about that, especially publicly.
No, it sucks.
I want to thank you, man.
It sucks. Like, it really sucks. It just, and I know that some people they won't really understand that, and they will say, well, you need to be there for your kids no matter what. And that's just not always the case. And they're not kids anymore.
Yeah.
They're adults. They're grown-ass adults.
There's a good friend of mine. Her name is Lisa Jaster, and she's actually one of my partners in my firm. She was the third woman to graduate Ranger School. Wow. And, the age of 37 and a mama, too. Talk about a badass, dude. Yeah. But when she canvassed on Facebook her friends, she said, hey, I have an opportunity to go to Ranger School. The amount of comments of like, hey, your job is to be a mom, and a mom is at home. Or, you're going to miss 6 months of your kids' lives when they need you most. People need to stop making judgments when it comes to families.
Right.
Families are all unique.
Right.
And just because you have a holier-than-life family does not mean you've done it right. Give it time. Your kids may end up being complete and utter jackasses. Yeah. So I try to refrain, and when people pass judgment on my family, like it's a non-starter. Just stop in your tracks. You did say, at a young age, and I love this, dude. Like, my escape is I love the gym, even though injuries seem to be just coming on wholesale, hip replacement and everything. But I used to take my kids to the movies where we'd get big things of popcorn, and it was like my escape, because you can dream in movies. Yeah. You said at an early age you knew you wanted that. Well,
when I was young, because we were poor, and a lot of times, like, I didn't have anything. I grew up in the streets of D.C., and there was nothing to inspire me. There was, and I was one of those kids. I was desensitized by, age of 7, 8. I was seeing dead bodies in the street and still playing kickball with my friends.
Our nation's freaking capital.
Yeah. So where I grew up in Southeast D.C. is great now. It's right where National Park is now. It's
do you get like gentrified?
Oh, very.
Yeah,
but it was pretty awful. And that was one of the reasons my mom moved us out of D.C. to San Francisco, is because there's some guy got killed in the alley where we lived. We lived right on an alley, and some guy got killed, and the police were there and everything. So we're all out, I don't know, pretty late at night. Kids came out of their house because the police are going, looking through this, and everybody's out wondering what happened. We're out in the streets playing, and my mom saw that and realized that like a dead body sitting there in the alley right next to our house is not affecting us at all. She was like, I got to get them out of here.
How old were you when you moved to San Francisco?
I think we moved back and forth a few times. I think at this point I was about 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, this is when we moved back the second time. My mom split from my dad when I was very young, and she went out to San Francisco, and we were with my grandparents for a while. And we moved out and joined her. And then my mom and dad make this like half-assed, horrible attempt at getting back together.
At least they made the attempt.
We moved back to D.C. and they were together for like, I don't know, a month or two. And then we were stuck there in Maryland. And my dad left us in this apartment. You know, my mom couldn't afford, so we moved into D.C. And we lived in all three of us, me, my mom, and my sister, lived in a basement of this house in D.C. And we shared a bed and we shared a bathroom. And,
goddamn, dude.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I'm from the Bay Area.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
yeah. And now it seems like things have reversed.
Yeah.
San Francisco's owned. They'll figure it out. Yeah. I hope. I don't know if that's my optimism is senile or not. But as you make a career shift, I got to assume just by the stature of yourself alone, they want to put you in a box and stereotype you into certain roles. What has that been like, man? It
was rough at first because I refused to let it happen, and it's weird. I got some really good advice from Stone Cold Steve Austin. When I was first he knew I was leaving. He knew I wanted to venture out and try my hand into acting, and he said, you're going to get throwing a lot of offers. They're going to offer you a lot of money to go and do these movies. They're going to be cliches. They're going to be straight to DVD, but they're going to offer you a lot of money. He's like, turn it down. Don't do it. You're going to get stuck in that rut, and you will never go anywhere else. So I was very aware of that. So I avoided that at all costs. I took a couple jobs because I wanted to get some experience. I wanted to learn how to act. I didn't know how to act. And that's actually what led me into acting was I realized how bad of an actor I was. But when I actually left the company and went that route, I did like 3 jobs in 3 years. So I went from making a very good living to making nothing, and I still had all the same bills. And then the real estate market crashed.
So now we're talking like 2008 time frame.
Yeah. And then everything just went wrong, man. My house ended up getting foreclosed on. I was making no money. I was still had all the same bills and people to support. And so my life was kind of turned upside down. I struggled for about 3 years. Well, I struggled for more than 3 years, but the big break was when I got Guardians. So that was about 3 years after I left wrestling.
In what year was that?
So it was released in 2000, I think 13 or 14. Yeah, I think I shot it in 2013. I think it was released in 2014. And that didn't happen immediately, but then I was kind of on the map. Like Drax put me on the map, so doors were opening. And it led to the Blade Runner thing, and that really kind of people started looking at me as an actor. Like, this guy's maybe he's serious. Maybe let's at least give him an audition. So the doors were opening for me.
The Blade Runner role, was. That really, this is my perspective alone. Even to the small little glasses, totally painted you in a different light.
Yeah. I needed that, and that was a big break for me. And that was a role that believe it or not, I had to fight really hard for that role because the director originally did not want me for that role
because of the way you looked.
Yeah,
your
well,
persona.
Believe it or not, I'd never heard this before. But I was shooting Guardians 2, and they asked me to go out and meet with Denis while I was shooting, so I flew out to L.A. to meet with him. And I walked up to shake his hand, and the first thing he said to me was like, "I'm sorry, my friend, but you're too young for this part." And I'd never heard that. I was like, I just can't win. I'm too old or I'm too big, but too young. I had never heard that. So anyway, I was there with him, and I said, well, I flew out, and I said, I'm a huge fan, man. That's just, I understand I don't have the part, but can we sit down and have lunch and bullshit and talk about your films? And so I literally sat down with him for about 2 hours just as a fan and thinking that I don't have this job, but I'm okay with it. I'll go back and I'll continue doing Guardians. And then the producers really wanted me for this role. So they called me and they asked me if I'd do a makeup test. I said, sure, I'd do anything. So I did that. They sent the pictures to Denny. No, it's still not right. Would you do a costume, all that? Full. Did it, sent them the pictures. No, it's still not right. will you do a screen test? Sure, I'll do anything for this part. I want this part. So I did the screen test. The producers paid for me to do a screen test, which was about $25,000. And I did the screen test, and they sent it back to him, and he loved it. He's like, great, hired, you're hired. And then funny thing is when I showed up to do the role, I was doing it the way I did my screen test. And he said, no, this is all wrong.
Wow.
It's like, well, how do you want me to do it? But anyway, so he just flipped the script on me, but he saw that I adjusted to his direction, and I think he always respected me for that, which is why when he was casting for Dune, he just called me and said, hey, do you want this role? And I said, of course I want this role.
It's amazing when you build a relationship.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
You fall within
Earn
people's
people's
circles.
trust, yeah.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah.
I get it, trust but verify, but the only way to build trust is to actually get to know people and show that you have love and concern.
Yeah.
For
and I think that I think it meant something to him that I was willing to do anything for this role. I wanted this role. I didn't feel like, I'm in Guardians now. I don't have to audition for this role. Like, I want this role. I'll fight for this role. Just give me the opportunity to fight for something, that I love, that I want. So I think that's it. I think he appreciated me proving that I wanted that role.
Well, guys, I want to take a mid-roll break, and we exit in a certain way when we do mid-roll, because I want to come back and I want to talk about the impact of what you're doing. Not only putting art on people that help tells their story that they have for life. I know it's no longer permanent because you can't get it removed, but in the same, I don't think maybe you do realize, the one is the impact you guys have for the movies is you allow people to dream, but even more so being in, I went to combat deployments. I had 10 of them. You know what our escape was?
What?
Movies.
Oh, really?
And sometimes it was really bad Haji copies. Have you heard that Haji copies?
Yeah.
Which people were pirating your films, but it was our one escape.
Yeah.
Sitting in a crappy tent with shady AC, sometimes in horrible environments, but you would escape for 2-3 hours watching a really bad version of the films that you guys put out. Usually with somebody in a trench coat. Well, they'd have to turn it down while the movie's still going on the camera and then bring it back up. It was bad, man.
Oh, wow.
But we ask 2 questions, and I'm going to ask each of you for your answer here. Biggest regret of your life? And yes, I have no regrets is not an answer. We all have regrets, and I understand it's paved where we're at today. But
I think picking one is the hard.
Yeah. Yes, that's one of the most honest answers we've probably had so far, I think. How about that, Will? Yeah.
Yeah. But,
oh, he just defaulted. He just did the Heisman. He said
I'm trying to narrow him down. Yeah.
Biggest regret. I mean, everything in my life has been an experience, so I don't know how would I put a biggest regret.
Yeah.
No.
I know I read but you said you sometimes wonder if you'd graduated high school, if that would have put a...
Yeah, I wonder now because I didn't graduate high school. Pretty open about it. I regret not having an education because I don't think I'm a dummy by any means.
No.
And I just feel like that's something that I left incomplete. Like I didn't finish that. I like to finish things. It just I wonder if my life, if I had finished, and even if I had gone on to college, how would it have changed my life? And I don't right now. I'm pretty proud of where my life has come, even with the challenges of not having a high school education. And at this point, I don't know if I'd want to alter my life. So it's like I do have regrets, but, it's hard thinking that I would have liked my life to have gone differently. There's one person that was pretty sappy, but I did hurt a woman, because I lied to her and I cheated on her.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart because she was so good to me. But it was a girl I dated and I knew we were never going to get married. We just didn't have that type of relationship. But still, she was good to me, and we dated each other for about 6 years. But I met my current ex-wife, and I just fell in love with her.
Yeah.
And so I was unfaithful to her, and I lied to her. I just religiously lied to her, and it spiraled down to this thing. And I'm just always ashamed of that.
Yeah.
But that's a huge regret. I wish I'd been more honest with her and not hurt her, because I know I hurt her very bad and she didn't deserve it. So sorry, I know that's a little savage.
No. But
that's
it gets big because
I'm
not going to say I haven't done that.
I've learned from that. Yeah.
Have you? There's times I've gone back out of the blue where these people probably don't want to hear from me, and I'm just saying, you call and say, hey, I want to
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't want to have anything, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could do to make it up to her. There's no way I could pay her back. She was good to me. She even supported me.
Yeah.
She didn't deserve what I did to her, and I just always kind of live with that shame.
Yeah, we've all done that. If anyone says otherwise, they're lying through their teeth.
Well, I think my biggest regret is just continuing my my art career, like college, just to follow up. Because maybe to me, when I get older and I'm like about to retire, I really wanted to do like an art class for like young kids. So maybe that's pretty much my only regret, that I should but then maybe I'll go back and to do it just to finish that career, and hopefully become one of the teachers for the art students, like young kids. I just want to teach art when I retire.
John?
Yes.
I don't think the lack of having a piece of paper is if you find the right college, they will absolutely bring you in.
Yeah.
In fact, master class in a lot of ways could have you do a master class on art and ink. This thing with education is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't graduate in my high school class. I had to go back and redo some things, but I wouldn't have gotten my college degree if the Marine Corps hadn't said, "Hey, we're going to send you back to become an officer." And it's amazing because I graduated high school with a 2.9, and most of that was from playing sports. And after 3 years in the Marine Corps, they sent me back to college, and I assure you, I did not get smarter during my 3 years in the Marine Corps. I learned discipline, commitment, honor, grit, and I graduated college with a 3 point. I think it was like a 6.7. I round up usually and say 3.7. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. But if I have to look at my kids, if they said I don't want to go to college, I'd actually probably smirk. If my son said, "Hey, I want to go weld," I'm like, I will pay for your welding school, and I will teach you how to run a business, because I think education has lost its value, and God knows some of the people teaching college right now are not equipped to train leaders for tomorrow. They may be able to teach a profession, but they're not creating good, kind, respectful, empathetic human beings, man. Sure. Next question is hardest decision you've ever had to make. Business, life, kids. I mean, you said it with your family. Is making that decision. Oh man. Yeah,
that sucked. But it wasn't a decision that I had to make on the spot. Like it was a decision that came slowly over time. And it was really because I lost every option. I ran out of options and didn't really know what else to do, because there was nothing else. I didn't feel like there was anything else I could do, not to be helpful anyway. And that's just in regards to my daughters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think all my decisions in life that have led me to anywhere have been hard, because I've always. So when you make a decision that's hard, it's typically you getting out of your comfort zone. Yeah. You don't go anywhere in life unless you get out of your comfort zone. And that's when you talk about doubt. Like every time I've made those decisions, I have tons of doubt. We just opened up an office in LA. And it's terrifying to me, because it's such a leap. It's a leap of faith in myself, and it's costing me a lot of money. So I am supporting this business through what I'm making now in acting, and I'm trusting and believing that it will pay off, because I love this business, but my days in front of the camera are only going to last for so long. But I want to continue in this business because I love it, and I have a passion for storytelling.
What do you think? There's a timeline on your acting career, or is that personal?
I think it's personal, and also I think. I think it's personal. I don't want to spend my life in front of the camera. I do want to prove my worth as an actor because I love it.
Yeah.
And it's very important for me to be respected by my peers, and which is always why I wanted to prove that I could be an actor and not just step away from wrestling and be an action movie star or anything. I never wanted to be labeled like a movie star. I don't want to be that guy. I wasn't chasing a check. I just wanted to prove that I could stand on stage with the best actors in the world and hold my own and feel like they wanted me there, feel like I deserved to be there. I want respect from my peers. Same within wrestling. A lot of times I get bashed with the fans for not doing this or that, or flips off the top rope, but I know, like, the Undertaker respected me, Triple H respected me, Flair respected me, Eddie Guerrero respected me. That meant more to me than anything. That means more to me than being in the Hall of Fame, that means more to me than accolades, you know, from the fans. The fans cheering for me. I want respect from my peers. And so it's the same in Hollywood. But now, as you know, being as a producer, like I want to tell stories. Like I love telling stories, man. And so that's always been my passion. That's always been my drive. So my drive from acting, telling stories as an actor, has transitioned into telling stories as a producer, and hopefully as a director.
And is that the future? Is not in front of the camera, behind the camera?
That's my future.
Yeah. You guys are, so the theme, and we'll get into it more after the break, this whole telling of stories. Yeah. It's storytelling. Let me ask you this real quick. Was it hard to leave wrestling?
Oh, it was killed me. I didn't want to leave. Because
you were leaving a sure paycheck, too. Pretty good paycheck.
Well, I also loved it. I was obsessed with it. I just wanted opportunities outside of the company that I wasn't getting within the company. And I was told, no, I was not going to get those opportunities. I said, well, if I'm not going to get them because it's not right that other performers are getting those opportunities, then I'm going to leave. And they said, no, you're not. And I said, watch me. And I left. And I didn't come back until I had achieved something. I went back, and then I felt like I was lied to. I wasn't given the run they said they were going to give me. So I left for a little while more, and I went back when I was guaranteed that I was going to get to go out the way I wanted to. So I always tell people, because, you know, typically the word retirement doesn't mean anything in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
So everybody's asking me when I'm going to come back. And I say, there's not a chance in hell, because I got to go out the way I wanted to. And that doesn't happen in professional wrestling, but it happened for me. And excuse my language, but I'm not going to shit on it. I'm not going to, It's
a stepping stone, man.
I'm not going
to.
So I'm just not going to. I am so proud of the way my career ended, and I got to call the shots, and I got to go out on my own terms, and there's no way I'm going to tarnish that. I'm not going back. I'm retired.
Also, from a physical standpoint, were you happy you got out when you got out? Because, dude, I see some of those guys, it's just like...
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. I don't wake up in pain. I'm aches and pains here and there, but I'm not walking around in pain. I'm not living on painkillers. I don't, I don't need a hip replacement. Not yet. I know that's got to be awful. I know that's got to be horrible.
Hey, well, let me say this.
Like, well, how bad did you beat
the
yourself
recovery?
up?
Oh, dude, I was taking Toradol and cortisone shots. Like, it was good. Like, there was a point where somebody's like, hey, dude, I can't keep giving you these Toradol shots. But to stay in the game, because I loved it so much. Right. I don't want to say I loved war.
Right.
I want to be very careful there. Yeah. I loved the guys, and the guys were going one way or the other. But post-hip replacement, the recovery sucked. This thing is great.
Right.
Guess what? Now I realize my right hip's all messed up. But John, I want to get to you, man.
I mean, like, I'm very fortunate in that way. Yeah.
Well, you look great, but when I'm saying, when you see some of these guys, it's just like, I don't want to say I don't feel sorry for anything. They lived a life that anyone would be envious, but it looks like they're in pain.
Yeah. They paid
all the
for
time.
It. But also, I didn't abuse myself when I was wrestling. I didn't burn my candle at both ends.
Yeah.
I took care of myself. And this goes back to Triple H and Ric Flair, because we were all alike in this way. Every day we wanted to get up, we wanted to go work out, we wanted to eat as best we could. After the show, we wanted to go back to the hotel and get some sleep.
Yeah. Well, Ric Flair is one handsome man.
Yeah.
John, and the hardest decision you had to make?
Man, honestly, it's been recently.
With this?
When my hardest decision before this, I used to be partners with my brother. So I was partners with my brother for a long time in the other business, which is a tattoo shop as well. You know, so me transitioning to here to partner up with Dave and just leaving him with everything by himself, it was hard. You know, that's probably the biggest, hardest decision I ever made, you know, because it was family. But, you know, I treat Dave like my brother right now, so believe it or not. And I'm still, me and my brother are really close as well. So nothing changed. It's just the atmosphere of separating from his company or our company to just a different one.
And I'm sure he went through phases of that decision.
Jealousy,
is he happy?
Yes, he did.
He's happy for you now?
No, yeah. We're still real close. We still talk, you know. And then again, we were partners, and I gave him everything, so he's even happier.
That's
So you know, it's not like
the other day.
It's not like I kept, you know. So.
You actually, So he went from making 50% to making 100%. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's super happy.
Get it. Well, hey, fellas, we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back. All right, and we are back with Dave and John. Before we dive in, I want to talk about DC Society Inc. and this passion project and where you guys are taking it. But first, we're going to dive into a subject that I hold dear because often these type of creatures are better judges of character than most human beings, and those are dogs. Yeah. So, Dave, I know you are a dog lover, and quite frankly, in my last job, dogs quite literally saved our lives. Right. First off, how's Penny doing?
She's great, man. She's great, man. She's a year old now. She's so undamaged. I mean, and this is what I love about dogs. They're just so pure. And she's so undamaged. Like, she still just loves anybody who will give her attention. She loves other animals, and she was, horribly abused.
The chain was grafted to her neck.
It was embedded in her skin. They had to surgically remove it and stitch her up because it had been on her like so long, and she had been mistreated. And nobody really knows how she got loose and how she got in. They found her in a graveyard, and so still nobody knows. We put out rewards, and we didn't actually get anywhere with that. But that's how it came to my attention that she was here in Tampa, and then she was abused. And I added to the reward. And then I finally called and said, has anybody adopted her? And they said, no. I said, well, can I have her? They said, yes, please come get her. And so she's been with me ever since. I'm going to start crying now.
We've had almost every guest has cried on the show.
I have 3 dogs. They're all rescues. They're all pits, and they are just my joy in life, man.
Yeah, I saw a picture of Penny. Her eyes are priceless.
Yeah.
John, do you have any?
Yeah, I got two dogs. Actually, one of my dogs just had puppies.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, 9 of them.
All right, so are you looking to find good homes for them?
Yeah, I got a few people that are already asking me. So yeah, I got a few.
What breed?
They're English bulldogs.
Oh,
well, they're actually
beautiful.
English bulldog fluffies.
Okay.
So yes, I got 9 of them. Big house now.
Yeah, so I've got a Dutch Shepherd. If you guys have ever seen that,
Yes,
it looks like a Belgian Malinois, but slightly
yes.
different. And that dog is it was a recovery, not a recovery. It was a therapy dog for me, and that dog was probably my sister bought it for me at a time in my life where it was darkest when I had exited the military and trying to figure out what a future looks like. They are amazing, man. The thing that amazes me about dogs is it's so simple. All they want is a little food, and just to be pet and adored, and they will love you. Their loyalty for life is
unconditional love and loyalty. Like that's what I mean. They're just so pure. They're just so pure. No hidden intentions or agenda. It's just like you said, just basics and love, and they're just unconditional love and loyalty, man.
We are the top of the food chain. Yeah. I get it.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean you can't learn from animals, and that there's a beauty there that I love that. When I saw that, I had no clue and wanted to bring that up. I do have to ask, with a reward, because you had asked for the name. Yeah. Were you going to take matters into your own hearing, or just make sure that law enforcement had this person's name?
I would just make sure that they were prosecuted. Yeah, I wouldn't be that guy. I think I can't promise that I would never be that guy.
There's a time,
but I was at that point when there's time, place for everything.
Oh yeah.
But at that time, no. It was just a sincere addition to the reward. I just wanted this guy caught and prosecuted and brought out to the open. Animal abusers, child abusers, rapists are just, to me, are just the scum of the earth. I have no love for them. I have no sympathy for them. I wish them. Sorry, this will be harsh for some people, but I just wish them pain and suffering. I have no love for them at all. I have only hatred for them.
I had a buddy who he had a great line because he had daughters,
right.
And we always joke about when the guy comes over to date your daughters, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be cleaning my." Other guys would say, "I'm gonna be cleaning my shotgun or this and this." I'm like, that's so cliche. Right. He's like, "No, I got this figured out." He would look at the young man and say, "Whatever you do to my daughter, I'm gonna do to you." And for rapists, for dog abusers, child abusers, we'll do the same to you. Yeah. Simple as that. Strange transition of subjects. Okay, sometimes there's a place for dark. Yeah. So DC Society Inc. One, I know John. The DC stands for, and there's Dream Chasers, but District
it's
Columbia.
Double
entendre.
moniker.
Yes.
Well, I'm from DC.
Yeah.
But I also use DC a lot as Dream Chaser. Yeah, that's my moniker. I kind of, I don't know. I believe deeply in that. It might sound a little hokey corny to some people,
Not at
but
all,
I
dude.
believe like tracing your dreams will get you, take you a long way in life.
If you had to put a percentage of people that just don't chase their dreams, it would probably be high.
Super.
It'd probably be
high.
like
I think
90% that have this
super high
dream.
People that settle.
Yeah. So, but with this, and I know this is a passion project for you guys, one, you believe in the art that you have on your skin or you wouldn't have it. One, the shop looks freaking phenomenal. Yeah. And I know talking to John, we had a long conversation. You guys are going to grow this slowly to make sure that you are bringing quality artists in and that you're creating this collective, in a sense, of artists.
Yeah, we just want to focus on our team here at home, just make it more like a society, because this is what we are.
And we do. We have. We're very picky and choosy about our artists, and we do. Right now, we have 4 or 5 empty chairs. And it's not because we don't have tattoo artists that have applied. There's not a shortage of artists. We just want to make sure that they're the right artists. Some people, we've interviewed are incredible artists, but we just didn't feel like their personalities would vibe with everybody because we want everybody. We're a no drama shop. We don't want any drama in this place. And sometimes that drama doesn't necessarily have to come from the artist, but it may come from their boyfriends, their girlfriends. We just don't want any drama. So we've been picky and choosy about our artists. So now we have 4 permanent, 1 part-time. But we're still, we're making the rent with that.
Yeah, and we're still looking for artists as well.
Still looking.
And our goal was basically to just have different artists from around the world, have guests.
Very diverse.
Guest artists to come work whenever, like maybe a week or a month out of the year, and then just kind of rotate them.
I have no doubt you guys have a long list of people trying to get in here by nature of both your reputations, but the fact that you're not trying to put butts in seats quickly and you're doing it methodically is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not playing the quantity game here. We want to play the quality game.
So do you have plans to grow this into a larger community outside of this location, or is that so far off now?
We always thought, because there's typically for tattoo artists, the only way to like really grow is to be a shop owner or a multiple shop owner. So we always thought that if we brought in artists and they were here and they vibed with us and we loved them and we grew to be a family, that they would be more than welcome to go and open another DC society so they could own their own shop and then they could start and kind of carry that on. But
that's
kind of what we want to do.
That is awesome. Yeah. So basically they learn the culture, they learn the philosophy, what you guys, the values.
Yeah. That's what we want. We just want to keep it that. What our dreams are, what our hopes are for the shop, and want people to
and
have
obviously
same mentality.
Grow with the artists and then let them grow by themselves as well. Just keep moving forward.
That's relatively unheard of within this industry. Yeah. That's awesome. What does it mean to you? I know. Do you realize the impact? I mean, the severity of what you do for people. I mean, does that ever take you back? Like, because it's permanent. That is something that
at the beginning was scary.
Yeah,
it's scary as shit because you're actually working on somebody and that's going to be permanent. So I guess you grow into that after a while, and then once just like right now, 27 years later, it's like you're sitting down and it's like basically so easy to me because it's just as long as you have the connection with your client, you forget about all that. You just continuously just putting all your thoughts and everything on the art and just keep moving forward from that.
Well, let me ask you, with the motto of let us help you tell your story, what is the process when somebody comes in? I mean, do you want to get to know them first? They may come in and say, hey, I want this tattoo. Okay, I'd love to hear your story of how that.
Yes, yes, definitely. Like I got emailed, for example.
No, I was just saying, you typically don't even have to ask them. People come in, they want to tell their story.
They do.
The significance of this tattoo or what it means or where they're trying to go with it.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard some stories that just almost bring tears to your eyes?
Yes, I have. Actually, last week, it was kind of funny the way this worked out. I think I was talking to you a little bit about it. So I had an appointment. That appointment canceled, and some customers of mine flew out from out of town in here because I guess one of the relatives passed away, so they wanted a tattoo. And so they told me the story. You know, I was kind of sad and depressed. The funny thing is, I tattooed the person that passed away.
Oh, wow.
So to me, it was more like, damn, you know, now I have to go through this again. So I had 3 clients that, you know, they were small tattoos. So I did those 3 clients. In the afternoon, it was the same story. It was like a connection spiritually somehow that I had 2 back-to-back. And the funny thing is that I tattooed the same other person that passed away. So it was like I see everybody grow up and I tattoo everybody, and then I have to actually do things that I don't want to. Because, you know, one of the guys that I really tattooed, it was kind of close to me personal, you know. So it was kind of hard me trying to actually tattoo something about him passing away. So it was kind of weird at that point, but it was like I was honored to do it because I could do it. You know what I mean? So it was kind of sucky.
Yeah, a lot of like tributes, especially like when people do portraits of someone who's passed
Yeah.
away. It's like
It's
a little heartbreaking. Yeah. But also, there's the flip side of that is
Yeah.
we've had like women come in with their grandmothers and they get matching tattoos and like you know, like stuff like that. It's like
so yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know.
so yeah.
Except don't ever tattoo a woman's name and vice versa.
I think have we all made that?
The good
I made
thing-
a mistake twice.
The good thing, you know, maybe the person died, but the memory stays on. You know what I mean? So it's always a good thing.
Have you? I don't know if it's still around, but I know a buddy of mine tried to create an ink where the DNA of the person.
I've done
the
that
blood?
before. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I
Well,
had never heard of that.
they cremate the person and they put it into the ink and they use the ink as a tattoo.
Oh wow.
I've
So
done a
that
few
it's part of
times.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
They actually have a company, I think, here in Tallahassee that does it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty insane.
It's pretty weird,
That's
but yes.
innovation right
Yeah.
there.
It's weird, but yes, insane.
But again, I mean, that goes back to the person, and it just means something to them. There's some emotional significance there to them.
Yeah.
So if we can help them, you know, it's meaningful
Yeah,
to them. It's
I
part of
mean-
their life and their story, and if we can help them with that, then it's just a feel good thing.
It's a canvas, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever received emails from people you've tattooed like 3-5 years ago that just reach out and say, "Hey, I want to let you know that what you did meant so much to me," and they still have the pride?
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah, I still got people 20 years ago calling me and telling me they still love their tattoo. It's weird, but yes.
For those looking to, again, get on the schedule, just go to dcsociety.inc.com. Is that the right domain?
Yes.
We'll make sure we
Yes.
post that.
Yeah.
What do you think the wait list is going to look like right now?
It depends on who they want to see. If they're looking for a particular artist, I mean, everybody's schedule is kind of different.
Yes.
You know, and then we have Julia, who's here. We want her here full time, but right now she's here once a week. She's not here today, but she's here every Monday.
Yes.
So everybody kind of has their individual styles. Everybody's pretty diverse in styles.
Yes.
So it really depends on who they want to come and see. But
Do you find that most people, once they identify someone they love as a tattoo artist, they stick with that person?
Yes.
Rather than,
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, most common. And you guys aren't with one style. It's not the Old Navy, the realism.
these guys are so, I mean, they can pretty much do anything.
Yes.
I think it's just like kind of what they specialize, what they feel like is their specialty.
Yeah.
I
But
think
they're all
everybody here
freelancers,
is
so
super
can do
well-rounded.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with this team, is if somebody comes in and they know that, hey, John, you're the better person for this, we'll
Yes.
push the person over.
That's a good thing about our team. They
That's
usually
huge, dude.
communicate really well with each other, so they could, focus on the style and themes that the person wants, so they could actually go back and forth.
I'll give you two examples. It happened like recently. We got a guy who came in yesterday and he wanted anime, and I took him right over to V because I know that's her thing. She loves anime.
Yes.
She specializes
Yeah,
in anime.
so,
I
yeah.
took her right to her.
Yeah.
And we had another guy come in a couple of weeks ago, and he wanted like more of a watercolor. And so again, Julia, this is our girl who's here part time, but she's just watercolor. Her watercolor is so badass, like world class. So, but there's that type of thing. So if I had a portrait, I'd probably go over to Rico and say, Rico, do this portrait. And, and then Lewis does all kinds of crazy creative
ideas.
badass or
Yes. It was just,
You guys hear that pride? We're talking with.
yeah. No, we're super proud of our team.
Yeah.
Super proud. They know it.
That's awesome. And one of the hardest things I know is for you as an artist to say, hey, no, that's not my forte. Hey, but this person over here on my team is that's an awesome culture.
that's a good thing. Yeah.
Right there.
they're basically not all about the money. There's all about taking care of the customer.
Are there certain things about this industry that you want to, I don't want to say maybe distance yourself from, but like, hey, what's going to be different from the majority of the industry is we are going to do it this way. We're going to create an environment that.
I think that's the thing, is that we wanted more of a non-threatening environment. Because like you said, I mean, what he was talking about his original experience with the tattoo shop, they're kind of dark and dingy and threatening and intimidating. Yeah. And we would want just like anybody to feel comfortable coming in here and having a conversation, not just coming in here and picking a picture off a wall and saying, I want that. But coming in here and having a conversation with one of our artists and saying, this is what I'm thinking, or something along this lines, or this is a story I'd like to tell. And sit down and have that conversation and sit down here at the table and not feel like they're out of place or, you know, they're uncomfortable. But you can just be here and be comfortable and have that conversation, decide you want a tattoo, and then just come on back and get it.
Yeah, that right there. Yeah. And I'm excited to move forward with you guys. Because this is a big leap for me.
Yeah.
and what? Now let's take it back. What's raison d'etre? My purpose for being is the guys we left behind, the men and the women.
Yes.
And I mean that's why I'm doing this. That's why I do legacy expeditions with all these skydiving expeditions, is to keep their legacies alive. And so to have them on my canvas is huge. And you know what? It's long overdue, because I have struggled with this preconceived notion of, can I be an executive and have tattoos? And you know what? To this point, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. I speak French. I just don't care. Yes. That means more to me than anyone's perception of what it may be. As we close this out, guys, I mean, it's no doubt that, you know, there's a lot of people struggling right now. Yeah. Doesn't matter if they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Everyone is looking for a sense of purpose and acting and asking themselves, have I lived a life of impact? So these two questions, when I ask them, understand that the audience is they're listening. They're taking notes, man. They want to know what has worked for you. And maybe they can take that one nugget from you, Dave, and that one nugget from you, John, say, I'm going to start implementing this in my life.
Right.
So with the first question, and we'll start with John, what do you think are those 1 to 3 tenets, those rules that you've lived your life by that have led to a majority of your success? But we also know that you can follow your rules sometimes and things just don't work out. But what do you pride yourself on?
I pride myself on just a ladder, one day at a time. I say this. I wake up and see a different day every day. You know, and hoping for that day to be the best day that I could have. And just basically come up a ladder. And that ladder, just climb it as high as I can. As soon as I climb it as high as I can, I just look back and have no regrets of what I've done.
And with 1 day at a time, is that also, hey, whatever has gotten me here is not going to get me to tomorrow, so you redefine yourself in a way? You humble yourself?
I've always been humble, and I always seen and I treated everybody the same way.
So respect.
Respect is the biggest key in the world. I think that takes you more than anything in life in general.
I mean, those are powerful, man.
I mean, I think that's, you know, just the respect part. I mean, I don't really regret anything in my life because I see everything as an experience. And I'm just trying to wake up every day and go higher than what I am tomorrow.
How do you feel we're and I'm just going to focus on America. How do you feel we're treating each other as fellow Americans right now? Would you say we're getting a D?
It's terrible, believe it or not, but I believe everything will come to a stabilize in life.
So do I.
Everybody should be joining together and just keep moving forward.
It's amazing what we can do when we're part of a team, dude.
Yes. Teamwork is everything. Can't win a basketball game without a team or a championship.
Unless you're Michael Jordan. I'm joking.
Hey.
Yeah, even
or
he
LeBron.
Yeah. Dave, man.
You know, it's hard for me to give advice, like, you know, what things you should wake up and do, what plan you should have, because I can only tell you what has worked for me.
Yeah.
And what worked for me is I followed my heart typically with everything that I've done. I've been passionate about something and I've just pursued it with everything, like almost an obsession. And one obsession has led to another obsession. And I will pursue it like a dog on a bone. I just, there's no quitting me. I just follow my heart. And I think that a lot of times people make the mistake of just giving up too quick. Like if they find something they're passionate about, like want it so bad, they want it overnight, they want that get rich quick scheme,
which is everywhere.
Take
this pill, lose 30 pounds.
Yeah, and it's just not. That's not reality. I mean, not for me. But I knew that, and I wasn't. I just had a plan, an overall plan, and not much of a plan, but just I had a vision of what I wanted with everything that I've ever done, and I think that most of the time I just have pursued things because I never think I'm going to pursue this because I'm going to make a lot of money doing this. I'm going to pursue this because I fucking love it, man. I really love this, and this is what I want to do with my life. This is the direction I want to go in, and it just, all the money and stuff. And I learned the hard way when I left wrestling that money is not the answer to everything.
Yeah.
Money is nothing but security.
Amen.
It's security, and that's all it is. Money is not going to buy you happiness. Money is not the answer. But as a byproduct of me chasing the stuff that I loved, I've been able to be financially successful because of it. But that wasn't my goal. And I always tell this to people. Originally, when I first decided to pursue professional wrestling, I did it because I was broke and I needed to make a living. But as I went along with it, I was still broke, but I became obsessed with it. I just fell in love with it. So I pursued it for that reason. Again, I did well, but I left while I was on top, and I left and I was broke again. And this is when I realized that money wasn't the answer, because I made a lot of money with wrestling, and I lost it all. And when I had a second chance, I know now that money is only security. So I live my life differently, and all I want to do now is take care of the people I love. I didn't think about this earlier, but now I'm thinking about it because it just came back to me. One of my biggest regrets in life is when I made a ton of money in wrestling, I bought stupid shit. I bought Lamborghinis and all kinds of fancy cars and fancy watches, and I never bought my mother a house.
I read this. Yeah.
And it killed me. But in retrospect, I look back and I always regretted that. And I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. And I said, if I ever have the opportunity again to do that. So when I did, I started making money in films. First thing I did was start looking for a house for my mom. And now she has a house in, San Francisco.
Yeah.
But my mom wanted to live in a certain area. She wanted an old Victorian. My mom's at old San Francisco. She's very resentful of all the tech money, and they've taken all these Victorians and they've gutted them and they've turned them into something else. Yeah. But she wanted an old Victorian, so I finally got her that. And it's about the proudest thing that I can say is that I bought my mom a house. But that's it. That's security. That's what security is. Security means that my son won't have to go through the hardships that I went through. Yeah. That we will always have a roof over our head. We will always have food on our tables, which I didn't when I was younger. So that's it. It's providing for the people you love, and that's at the end of the day. I hope that I've inspired a few people when I leave this world. But I just want to leave this world knowing that my family is taken care of and my dogs are taken care of.
You see, there's and I recently came across this story about Alexander the Great. Mm-hmm. And I think it reinforces your point about money.
Right.
And basically he said, bury me with my hands outside the ground to show the world that I came into this world with nothing, right, and that I left with nothing. Yeah. And that's why I usually say, impact is the greatest currency in life, not money. But we all want to leave our families in a position to change the status even more. Let me ask, you made one point. And I'm interested because everything is a dichotomy, because obsession can lead to a lack of balance. Was there ever a point where you're like, okay, I went too far?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with wrestling, I lost my family. I lost my family. I always thought I was there and I was trying to be a good provider, but I have to take some responsibility of being so obsessed with that I neglected a part of my family.
Yeah.
And so my marriage fell apart because of it. My children were off making horrible decisions. I wasn't home. I wasn't able to be home. And I have to take some responsibility for that. But at the same time, it's hard for me to look back and this was my one shot in life. Mm-hmm. This was it. And I knew that it would change generations of my family.
Yes.
So it's like once you get your shot, you got to take your shot, and you try to balance everything as well as you can. But you're gonna make mistakes. I made mistakes. It was hard for me to balance. I still, look back and I don't know how I would have done things differently. But the flip side to that is now I'm able to provide for my family.
Yeah.
I'm able to buy my mom that house, and this wasn't gonna happen if I didn't take my shot.
Yeah. Dude, I didn't do what you did. Yeah. But I know my last command. And I think this statistic I heard was we had our divorce rate was 95%.
Right.
Like all we cared about was going to war. And if you had to choose between going back outside the wire with the guys or your family, this is going to sound awful. Guys would choose going outside the wire with the boys. Yeah. And it's just when you were so laser focused sometimes. Maybe I'm sure we're not at that point in our lives yet where we look back and maybe say, "Hey, I made the wrong choice." But I totally understand what you're saying. When you're in the game, you are in the game and you see nothing else.
Yeah, and those. I mean, obviously, I've never been in your shoes, but I mean, you can't tell me that those guys aren't any less your family than your family who's at home.
Yeah, we used to say. We used to say, hey, well, my wife and kids over here, that's my family. We're like, no, that's your second family. Yeah. And I'm sure wrestling was the same way in a lot of ways. And so here's the last question, man. And I'm still trying to figure this out. I think I know, and I think it revolves around my family, but when all's said and done, and you're at that moment, how are you going to look back and know that you lived a life of impact and purpose? That one it's deep.
I mean,
it's meant to be deep.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I might not be able to say myself how, but through my art and all my canvases that I've done, I think it's gonna speak for myself. I think all the artwork that I've done on everybody and everything that I've done, I think that will speak for my last time. I think that'll leave my following behind.
I'd say I think that's pretty accurate, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I can say, man. There's going to be movies, pictures, drawings everywhere, and they're going to be, that guy did that.
John did those. Yeah.
I think that's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that, I know that I'll leave my family with security, but I think, the thing with me is I already know, because I didn't waste my life. I'm not a statistic. I did something. I should have been nothing, but I actually made something out of my life. I did something, I think, exceptional. I mean, the best thing about my career is I can fly halfway across the world. I can step off a plane, and people know who I am. Like that's pretty powerful. You can't put a number on that. You can't put a value on that. It's just something that I know I've done something exceptional.
That's impacted
if I can do that. Yeah. People are happy to see me across the world. Yeah. Maybe don't even speak their language, but they're happy to see me. I can step off and they see me and they want to take a picture with me. That's invaluable. So I already know that I've made somewhat of an impact, and I hope a good impact. But I want to make more of an impact. Like I want to tell more. I want to inspire people. This is what I love about storytelling. Yeah, that is the way you can actually inspire people, and it's that story that I put on to film will be here long after I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, fellas, I can't thank you enough for inviting me into your home, which I know is your passion. John, I look forward to the ink. Dave, I got to say, man, and for all those listening, if anyone judges a book by its cover, which you've got a distinct cover, you'd be absolutely 100% wrong, and I've done that before. And your humility, your empathy, your kindness, and your respect it's oozing out of your pores, man. So I'm humbled the opportunity to get to know you and John and move forward with you guys in my small way. But for all those listening, all those who've been struggling, whether they want to get that piece of art on their skin, do it. Reach out to DC Society Inc. I know the list is going to be long, so do it now. And congratulations on the launch to all you guys, man.
Thank you.
And I hope you build something that puts this industry on a different level. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right, guys. And that is The Everyday Warrior with Mike Sorelli. And we will be back next time. Thank you.